Hi, hello, welcome, good morning. It is Friday, and I have once again managed to snag myself a long weekend. I worked a different day this week, so I've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, and then next week is quite busy, so I thought that I would just do another weekend of crafts and other cozy hobbies. I'm probably gonna play some games and maybe read a bit too and take you along again because that was quite fun last time. So it is early in the morning. I'm having my coffee, and I think I'm just going to work on this sweater for a little bit while having the rest of my coffee and waking up properly and thinking about what else I want to be doing, because this is my no thinking project. I don't think when I work on simple things where I follow a pattern. So that's gonna be step one, and then I'll update you when we are on to the next step. Alright, hi. It is a little bit later. I'm sorry if you can hear the dishwasher, but I decided that I want to do some drawing. So I grabbed my little sketchbook. I have not worked on this in over a year, I think. The last thing in here is when I was designing the Hornet Lino stamp, and then I did that. So the last time I used this sketchbook is documented on the channel somewhere. And I do want to draw in this a little bit, but I am intimidated and I am uncomfortable. So I am just putting this on the table to see if I feel like it later. First, I have this coloring book. I got this on sale when I worked at the bookshop, and I've done the first page of it. And I think it wasn't very smart of me to buy this. One, because I had already bought my tablet to switch over to digital drawing at this point in time. And I can just take any coloring page of the internet and color it in Clip Studio for free. But this is a different feeling, and I don't get notifications on this, so in that sense it's good. But this is what my physical art supply bin looks like. I've got a bunch of mixed markers and stuff in here, and a bunch of them are dried out and old because I don't do physical art often. I don't do digital art often either. Art is intimidating to me, it is scary. I used to draw a lot and then I got insecure about it. But I've pulled out all of the pencils that I could find in it, because pencils don't dry out, so then I don't have to deal with frustration of picking a marker that's dry. I'm just gonna color in the page with pencils. And then if I feel better after that, I might draw in my sketchbook, or I might not. We'll see. I am literally just doing what I feel like. Alright, hello. So I did 2 pages, and one of them I used my markers, but I forgot that they're paint markers, so they didn't work that well for this. And then I did do like 2 pages in the sketchbook, but I'm not feeling great about it. So we're gonna move on to something else. No use in forcing stuff when it doesn't want to happen. Yeah. So I have this. This is a packet of air dry clay that I got from my grandma at some point. I don't know how she got clay that has Japanese text all over it, but cool. We've had this for a long time, so I might as well use it. Clay is not that expensive. If I mess it up, that's okay. I also didn't buy this myself. So I'm opening this up. First, I'm gonna think about what I'm doing, and I might actually use the sketchbook to sketch out ideas for it, but that's different from drawing for the point of drawing. But before I open this, I gotta clean the drawing supplies off the table. See you in a minute. Okay, so I don't have sculpting tools or anything like that. The closest thing I used to have to that was cake decorating tools. But that was back when I lived at my parents' place. So that's been a while. What I do have is knife from kitchen, popsicle stick, and toothpick. So that's gonna have to, also my hands. That's gonna have to do. Because I'm not buying supplies this weekend. I have so many things in this house. First step is figuring out the texture of this stuff because it feels different from what I'm used to. I may also want a little cuppy of water actually. Cup of water. Neo, do not drink that water. It is clay water. Okay, so step one that I just remembered. I have this cookie cutter that is a little bear. Okay. I have this little cookie cutter that is a bear, but the thingy to pull it off the cookie has broken off years ago. So I can't really use it for baking. But I might be able to use it to make a little trinket. So that's step one. Neo is thirsty. Girl, I literally just gave you your own fresh water in the kitchen. What is your problem? Why are you like this? Little guy. Two of him. Okay, now I need to think. So as you just saw, I finished up the clay, which is good because then it's no longer taking up space in my shelf. I made two of the little bear thingies that I will put a keychain or a little dangly on to hang it up somewhere, hopefully. And I made a base to make a little Cult of the Lamb doll figure thingamajig. The rest of him, so like the fleece and a little fur on his head and the bell, will be not clay. I have actual little bells, I have felt, I have yarn. I will figure something out. And then I made two little trinket dishes, one that is like a cat and one that is a lily pad with frogs on it. They are wobbly because I don't have tools and my hands do not make round bowl shapes. But that's fine, they'll be fun. They need to dry for a while. It is air dry clay, so I shouldn't have to do anything with it. I'm gonna leave them on the table for a couple of hours and then move them to my room so Neo doesn't mess with it. And then maybe it'll be dry to paint tomorrow and otherwise Sunday. So this side quest will continue. For now, I'm gonna eat a snack and knit some more because that was a lot of things I don't normally do that often, so I am tired. Hi, good morning. That was quite a productive afternoon, evening yesterday, wasn't it? I also had a very productive morning. I woke up a little bit later than usual because I accidentally stayed up very late finishing my skein of red yarn, as you would have seen. And I went to check on the clay. It is not dry yet. Neo, please don't drink my coffee, baby. I don't need fur in it. So I went on my computer and I started up some practice and some math and some notes for pattern designing, because you know how I have some plushy patterns in crochet and I have some notes or guidelines on how I make my bear sweater and how I make made to measure in crochet. And I have free-handed some knitting garments, and I'm just sitting here like I have more ideas for things that I want to make for myself that don't have a pattern yet. Why don't I just learn how to size grade and then I make the pattern? Like, I take notes on my self-drafting and then I just extrapolate the other sizes, do some testing myself before I even dare send it out to other people, because I am not confident that I am setting up my math correctly in my Excel sheet. But yeah, making steps towards that, learning how it works. It's gonna take a long time before you see that though, because I have a couple of projects, a couple of sweaters that are other people's projects that I want to have done first. Yeah. Anyway, so last night I finished the red on my laneway on the start of the body. So today I'm starting on the sleeves just to make sure I don't run out of yarn or whatever. So I need to go wind this up. My last skein of torpor. I love this, like both Morag DK but also just this color. This is my favorite. For sure. I'm so boring. Why am I paying for hand-dyed yarn when I just want black yarn? But it's so nice and it's so good, and the little bits of variation in the color are nice. I love semi-solids. There is still this one attached to the body, but what I'm doing right is I am knitting on the body. And I ran out of the first skein of red. This is already the second skein of black. I want to make sure that I can knit both sleeves to my comfortable desired length with the yarn that I have. And then the body can be more cropped if need be. I'm already considering doing the cuffs on the sleeve in the red just to even it out a bit, because otherwise all of the ribbing is black. And that's a little bit uneven. I didn't do that on my first laneway. But that was also because the color work didn't extend on the sleeve, so it looked extra weird to make the sleeve cuffs black. But I think it might actually work with the color work going down on this. I will see when I get there. That's a problem for not today. So the plan for today is to start winding this up, start on the sleeves, maybe listen to my audiobook. And then later today, check on the clay again, but I think that's just going to be a tomorrow thing. I feel like today is going to be a very single focus day because I'm so excited about this sweater, combined with the fact that I want to get my sweater queue going so that I can start making my sample. I will probably end up shuffling some things around in the queue so I can make my sample earlier. But also, I just really want to make the sweaters that I've been wanting to make for a long time because they are so fucking cool. I want to make the Beetlejuicy sweater in my Fade yarn. And I want to make the Jupiter sweater. And I want to make the Dark Academia sweater. These are all so cool. And I still have an exo spine hood to make for my friend. Oopsie. That might be my bus project for when I finish my socks. Did you see my socks yesterday? They get their own video in case you're more interested in sock knitting. But I'm doing quite well on the different style of sock, the banana socks. I'm having fun with that. That's good. I'll go wind up my yarn now and stop yapping. I am not awake enough for this yet. Alright, hello. It's been like 3 hours. The audiobook and knitting combination is still really good because I barely processed time passing. But then I realized that I should probably have lunch, so I did. And I'm just weaving in the ends for my sleeve, so I don't have to do that when I'm done. I've got about 3 hours left in this book as well, but I'm gonna save that for another day. This is like I wanted to call it a slice of life thriller, but I don't know if that's accurate. It's just kind of following this woman who is seriously unwell and doing some really toxic shit. And it's kind of being carried by shock factor and some like reversal of expectations. And I don't think that 6 hours of that in a row is really going to be good for the enjoyment of that. Kind of takes away from the shock factor if you've got too much of it in one sitting, if you follow what I'm trying to say. And I do feel fine continuing on this sweater, but I also want to go and check on my clay. I'm just making sure that with weaving in the ends, I fixed the little holes in the armpit from picking up my stitches. I'm gonna flip it right side out to check that actually. Okay, yeah, it looks fine. I'm just gonna move upstairs to see how the clay is doing then. And probably continue on the sweater, but maybe I will work on something else. I am not sure. I will let you know. Okay, as you can tell, I've moved upstairs. The clay is drying well, but definitely not dry yet. And I suddenly felt like working on a project that has a bit more brain power requirements. So I could have gone downstairs and worked on my Atlantis blanket, because that definitely needs working on. But instead, I've just pulled this one out of the bag. And it is a mess. I worked on this outside last time I worked on it. So, yeah, butterfly cardigan. I've got the chart open. Thankfully that did save. I'm gonna have to watch back my clips to see if I did any alterations on it, because I remember restarting because it was too small. I'll go have a look-see. Hi, good, just barely still morning. I spent most of my morning doing more math for the pattern, because last night I did the grids for the straight section, so the bottom ribbing up and the sleeve cuff up. And then I was like, oh, I should figure out how the increases are divided across the yoke, so I can figure out how many yoke charts I need to make and what they will look like. So I did the math for that this morning. And I looked at it and I went, yeah, the charts for that are a different day's problem. I have clay to paint. I am quite impressed with the amount of math I'm doing and also how much I'm liking my little charts. If I can't figure the yoke out, then I think the bottom and sleeves up is still a cool design, but I would like both, so that it just kind of like reaches towards each other, if that makes sense. I will make a separate video for this, as I do with most things. Most bigger projects have their own video. This is mostly just a sneak peek for those videos with some random bullshit thrown in. I'm gonna start painting. These are dry enough that I trust that. So I've got my old brushes. These are the only ones that have survived. This one is a little bit crusty, putting that in the water. I've got old copy of water. And I have these acrylic paints that I've had for a long time. So I hope they still work. Like, I hope the open ones aren't dried up, is what I'm trying to say. Especially the green, because I need green for the lily pad and the frog. Let's see. Oh, that's still moving. Wonderful. So I'm gonna paint these and I'll let you know how that goes. Alright, a couple hours, a nice dinner, and a cleaning up of supplies later. We have finished items. And I've sorted my knitting stitch markers. This is very important too. They're now sorted by color. This is regular yellow and neon, green and blue, the two purples, the two pinks, and red and orange. Because I like having the same color on when I'm doing the sleeves, and right now I'm doing red sleeves, so I would like my red stitch markers and then the orange one to mark important points that are different from the rest. And this is more coherent. They used to be in one of my little Pokemon tins and then all of them in the same one. And it was bothering me, so I just fixed it. That's one. Two, the one you saw the most updates about in the silent part of the video. Cult of the Lamb sheepy. The lamb with his little floof and his ears and the little horns poking through. I didn't make his crown, that would be too tiny and tedious. I did not feel like it. But he's got his cape with the little cord and the bell and the white detailing. And he does have arms in here, but you can't really see him because he's too floofy and the cape is too long for that. But he looks cute. He cannot stand on his own though. That's sad. And when I was attaching his cape, his head kind of detached. I put not a safety pin, a toothpick in his head and his body, and that's how I attached them. And then I just like did the roughing up the clay before putting them together and using the watery clay to just kind of glue it. But if you're rough with it and this is big and heavy, it's gonna come off. But it lasted long enough for the wool to keep him in place, and that's all I needed. So he's in there. He's safe, and he can be mildly adjusted to look to the side a bit. Cute, very happy. This is actually a gift for one of my friends, but then we've got the bears. I've turned them into keychains because I have a whole bag of these things. Also got that bag for my grandma, just like the clay. My grandma loves giving me random craft supplies that I then just put in the shelf, and a year later I go, oh right, I have that, I can use it. Little bear also has a shiny top coat and some beads and some bells because I had the bells out. I got the bells when I was making my clowns. This one's got glow-in-the-dark beads that I used for a sweater at some point. And it's the same thing besides that. Then we've got the little trinket dishes, right? This one, frogs. Tiny frogs on a lily pad. The bottom is ugly, don't worry about it. Also not the neatest on top, but it's cute. I like it. This is also for my friend. And then my trinket dish is Neo, including the one black toe bean. This is gonna go onto my bookshelf, and at the end of the day I can just dump my earrings on there, because I've got a bunch of earrings and they're always all over the place. So this is a good solution. Besides that, I have been thinking about my pattern design some more and doing math in my head. Mostly trying to figure out the yoke charts, because they're going to have to be different for different sizes because there's no space between anything. But I'll figure that out. That's going to be its own thing, but I've been thinking about it. And I've been working on my laneway to free up the needles. I'm like halfway-ish done with one sleeve. Yeah. It's not that late yet, but it is evening, and I think that I'm not going to do anything interesting for the rest of the day because I feel like playing Cult of the Lamb now. So that's most likely what I'll do for the rest of the night. And then the weekend is over, so that's the end of the video. I hope you had fun following me along in the random stuff I get up to. This one was different crafts from what I usually would do, but also less random than the last one. I feel like I focused a lot on just one knitting project and then the socks while I was walking places. But that's good. That's fine. That's what I felt like doing, and that's what I will do. Yeah. Let me know what you think of him. I think he turned out cute. Alright, see you next time.